Europe faces the challenge of providing quality care for aging populations. Our loved ones will need the support of professional care homes in institutions or in their homes already now or in the future. It is therefore important to ensure adequate working conditions for care workers and to have an ongoing social dialogue that responds to structural and current problems. Particularly in Central and Eastern European countries, care workers experience challenges such as low wages, long working hours and multiple job holding, which are the result of structural underfinancing and understaffing. These compounding problems also lead to emigration, brain drain and loss of public investment in the education of care workers.
The main problems faced by care workers in Central and Eastern Europe can be divided into several categories. Structural in nature, such as low wages, labor shortage or emigration. Here, often even an influx of potential employees from non-EU countries does not currently seem to be the solution to the problem, as they choose to work in other sectors where working conditions and pay are more attractive. Psychosocial, like high work intensity, emotional work, stress at work and burnout, but also violence by clients and mobbing in the workplace. Related to health and safety, like lifting patients or infection risks. Related to new policies promoted in the European Union, such as the provision of assistance to informal carers and other signs of deinstitutionalization, or greater emphasis on increasing the availability of early child education and care. Our studies showed that the above challenges apply to all analyzed countries in Central and Eastern Europe, 12 in total, despite some national differences. In Poland, for example, improvements in equipment in social care facilities to make it easier to lift patients were reported, as well as improvements in hygiene compliance as a positive side effect of the pandemic. In Slovenia, on the other hand, attention was drawn to the increasing multinationality of service recipients, especially in the area of childcare and early education, which poses a challenge for staff due to the communication barrier. In some countries, such as Croatia, the problem is the segmentation of the care sector and the lack of coordination between the different parts.
The CEECAW project encompassed all EU member states in Central and Eastern Europe and Serbia as a candidate country. In each of these 12 countries, national experts focused on working conditions and challenges related to collective bargaining and social dialogue.
With regard to collective labor relations in the care sector, in all countries, the challenges is low trade union membership and low coverage of collective agreements. The weakness of social dialogue institution is a major barrier to the articulation of care workers' interests and to addressing them in an appropriate way. Unionization is not facilitated by work overload, which discourages any social activity, or flexible forms of employment and worker mobility, or by fear of discrimination and retaliation by the employer. There are countries where there is de facto lack of representative, employer-recognized unions in the sector. Only small, weak organizations exist, for example, in Estonia. In other countries, it is difficult for unions to engage in collective bargaining, either because there are no employer representative organizations or because the employers are not interested in bargaining. In Poland, it is sometimes the case that a trade union initiates a collective dispute with the authorities of a particular local government unit in order to win changes in favor of employees. Unions use different strategies to survive and convince workers. For example, in Slovenia, they always try to work out of common position. In Croatia, there have been cases where workers only realized after joining a union that the minimum wage legislation in the sector was being circumvented by local authorities. Finally, in some countries, there are more or less effective mechanisms to promote unionization. For example, in Lithuania, the provision of the collective agreement apply only to the union members. The high coverage of collective agreements in Slovenia helps the image of the unions, as does the active advocacy of workers by some organizations in the country.
Addressing the concerns of care workers is strategic for the quality of life of Europeans. In the comparative report of the CEECAW project, you can read more about the challenges faced by the care workers in Central and Eastern Europe in relation to their working conditions and the collective bargaining system that enables these challenges to be communicated and resolved.